Please subscribe, like, comment, and turn on the notification button so you are aware of our future episodes that you will love so much. Hey guys, welcome to the Film Biz Show. We're right in the heart of the Africa Rising International Film Festival, and we have a very, very vibrant and disruptive filmmaker, Ntokozo Mlaba, the creator, writer, director of The Passage, the film that we've just seen. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm really grateful to be here.
Yeah, Ntokozo, before we go into the film, brother, you were doing so many disruptive things. I know the last time we spoke, we tried to get you on the show, but you were traveling in Europe, and you had just started the initiative to start showing or exhibiting films to young audiences. Could you tell us a bit about the journey?
Yeah. I'm so grateful to be here, man. I've been waiting for the opportunity to come on. I think it just hasn't aligned, but I'm grateful that we're here now. And also, I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen at those periods because, I'm still a bit disgruntled with the industry, but even at those moments, when I went to Switzerland, and prior to that with the bioscopes that we did in Soweto, is that it's all been independent. You know what I mean? Like there's not much support. I went to Switzerland through crowdfunding, so I've just been disgruntled with how it's almost like you can try as hard as you want, but you just have to see yourself through, So I was kind of mad at the lack of support from the game. I think if we don't protect the young ones, and I mean nobody owes me nothing, but I think I'm showing that I'm raising up my hand and I'm saying, yo, can you guys pick me up? Maybe can you help me out? But I mean, I'm grateful to be here, man. I went to Locarno Film Festival, which was absolutely phenomenal, life-changing. And we did, prior to that, we did Ama Bioscope. So that's what we do every month. So even if you see with the film, I'm very much, I'm very passionate about breaking down the chains of what cinema means, especially in the African context, because the capitalist model of cinema that just excludes black people from the experiences of films that are meant to be seen by them just doesn't sit well with me. So what we do is that we take films and we show them in communities and townships to enable accessibility to a cinematic experience for the African child, So we go into these communities and we show the films, and it's such a beautiful experience, so that's what we did. And that's what we're going to do with The Passage. We're screening all over the country. We're screening in Seshego, in Ngwamashu, in Durban. We're screening in Soweto next week. So we're really having a dope run, I think. And remember, it's independent, And I think that's something that we really need to take into consideration. And I think I'm really grateful for the team that we have and the support that we've been getting from different partners, different corporate partners, from people like you guys who say, yo, bro, come and tell your story on this platform, because you never know who's going to hear it, So I'm really grateful for that, man. And thank you for having me.
So awesome, man. I mean, as for the lack of support, trust me, it's something that we are all going through, and a frustration as creatives that we find. And I think maybe at times it could be a problem with kind of translating this art to numbers and to business language. But I find that, the miscommunication usually happens between artists and not so much between art and business.
True, because I think even in that, what we've been able to kind of explore with Umphakathi artists is the CSI leg of business, of corporate. Yeah. So there's so many opportunities to explore in that regard. Like, how do we kind of make the most of the corporate social responsibility that corporates have to actually take off of their budgets for a year? How do we go in and tackle into that so that we can kind of create programs, artistic programs in different communities and underprivileged communities to enable access to these things, Because I think it's so sad. I'm sure when you go see people say, how can I get in? And you don't even know where to start.
I wish I could tell you.
You know what I mean? You don't even know where to start. And I think the saddest part about this thing is that it's inaccessible, man. It's so inaccessible. And what we try to do with the work that we do at Umphakathi Artists is to enable that access. And not to say that kids must become artists. I hope my family members don't become artists. But what we want to, what the thing is, I feel like people just need to be able to have access to things. Like have access to different things. Like like when you go to a public school, a private school, these kids have access to soccer, they have access to rugby, to cricket. You know, in other schools, they just give you a soccer ball. And it's not that, you know, you get what I'm saying? My thing is like, we need to really open up the space and enable access in the ways that we can. I mean, I'm calling on other professionals, you know, like if you're in the law space, if you're in the medicine space, go into the communities and have programs where you enable access, because it's so hard, you know, it's so hard for people to find out what they need to do, the smallest things, you know. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and I think we're gonna lead a very exciting revolution slowly but surely, and it's gonna come. It's gonna come, and I'm really grateful for the support that I've been getting from the community members, because what you find is that when you get to the communities, they actually run them themselves because they want them, and then they say thank you to you, but you just came with the idea. But really, what you'll find is that the communities are yearning for things that kind of build them, you know. And I think the more young people get into these spaces and kind of engage with communities on the ground about issues and everything else, I think the better it will be, you know. So yeah, we all need to get involved, man. I think we all need to get involved. I think we feel like as artists that we're so divided or so outside of the world and how it exists. I was actually at a law conference this week, and I was speaking about how artists, the creative industry preys on the vulnerable, and somebody said every industry preys on the vulnerable. And that's the truth, you know. I think we kind of think that the issues that we face are bigger than everybody else's because we have a platform to voice out our disgruntlement. But yeah, I think I'm just trying to breathe. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to breathe.
Doing
but
well, brother. You're doing well. But tell us about your collaboration with APSA. How did that come about?
So it's been an amazing collaboration, man. I think they've really stuck true to their brand messaging of Your Story Matters, and they've really supported me in my journey this whole year, you know. Yeah, they kind of hopped on board, and they actually financed a large chunk of the film. And yeah, so that's why we have a film currently. I won the Young Voices at the Joburg Film Festival, and as part of my acceptance speech, I pitched my film. So that was pretty dope because
Nice.
APSA hopped on at the end of that night. And I think what's dope with that is that we're kind of changing the manner in which we're financing models. And I think if we kind of keep on going in this way, we'll find banks hopping on to actually finance films. You know, I think there's been conversations on this platform about how we can have banks really invest in the filmmaking space, and you know how challenging it's been. But I think it presents such an opportunity of profit if the private industry hops on board in the creative industry, and I think we're on the right track. So the fact that we're in the rooms, being able to speak with a corporate giant like APSA, I think we're on the right track. So I'm extremely grateful for that. So yeah, shout out APSA.
Shout out APSA Bank, man. But let's go into the actual film, The Passage.
Yeah.
Powerful, a story about GBV, tackles essentially questions, you know, the toxic masculinity kind of concept, the patriarchal society in which we find ourselves in, driven by capital and driven by, you know, a sense of scarcity. What inspired this story, and you know, where did you get the actual inspiration from?
So the film sits as a trilogy of short films that I'm making on my take of the issues that plague the hood. The first one dealt with generational curses in a black family. This one deals with gender-based violence with a particular focus on patriarchy. The third one is going to deal with alcoholism in the township, which you know is quite a big issue. So yeah, this one was really a matter of kind of when you're in the township or when you're with your boys and there's those little microaggressions that occur or the catcalling that happens and there's this thing inside of you that says do something. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of the times just speaking out is not enough. You know, I think we have to really, or just typing or hashtagging is not enough. I think we have to get active. And that's why, excuse me, with this film, we really plan on going on the ground and actually making real life impact so that we can make a societal change on the ground. Because I think what we try to do with this film is have the conversation holistically with looking at how gender-based violence or patriarchy, the structures such as patriarchy, such as capitalism contribute to what gender-based violence is in South Africa, you know? And I think it's important that we engage and get the message through on the ground so that young people can understand You know what I mean? Because my thing was like, I was trying to understand like what goes on in the mind of a person who can actually commit such a crime, you know? And yeah, I think that's what we tried to explore with the film. And I'm so grateful that we're able to get such great collaborators, such great partners in terms of financing, such great, just everybody who was on the film from the inception of it to post-production. Like I just told you, our young producer, Lehakwe Marabo, who just completed a matric, you know, so she really fought for us in that. She's still fighting with, she's getting waivers and waivers and waivers at all these festivals. So she's doing amazing work, you know. And I think just even with the Post House that onboarded me, 1410th, the Ferusas have been so helpful, you know. I think the funny thing is when we had a meeting, we met them prior to going to production, just a little bit before, and I was telling them, because they were actually in the room when I pitched, and then I went to speak to them that I'd really love for them to handle the post-production of the film. Then we spoke money, and then the conclusion was, okay, you don't have money, my brother, you know? And I was like to them, yo, bet on me, you know, bet on this kid. I'm telling you, bet on this kid, you know? And I'm so grateful that they've done so, and they've helped us out so much. So yeah, man, the film is a beautiful 12-minute short, and I really look forward to it going into different schools and having those conversations on the ground, because I think it's so important that we use our art to make a difference in our society, you know, and have real life conversations with real people on the ground, you know. I think if young people can see this film and the next day they go out and see their friends catcalling, they say, no, don't do that. I think like we would have done something. Definitely. I feel like we would have done something. So that's really a big goal for us. And yeah, man, I'm really excited for what the film is going to do. I'm really excited for how it's going to age. And so that's why even with the trilogy, it's just like, for me, a contribution to South African cinema until I go into the feature format. And I'm so excited to just keep on telling stories and keep creating, even though it's so tough. But yeah, man, my heart is in this, man. My heart is in this, and I'm so super excited. Man.
Yeah, you know, so inspired. But your process of actually penning it down, can you just tell us a bit about that? You know, just the actual writing process.
Yeah, it was pretty tense. I took like a year of research and development. But also because you wanted to make sure that you get it right, because I think it's such a sensitive conversation, right? And you know,
what do you research? You go to like a couple that's been fighting, or
no, reading, like actual reading about what patriarchy really means. Because I think another thing is like we use these terms without really understanding the crux of it. Like, what does patriarchy really mean? What does masculinity, toxic masculinity, really mean in the real life context, in real life examples? What does it look like? What does a microaggression look like? You know? And I think we use these terms as just like such nice language, but what do they actually mean on the ground, you know? And I read something recently that just spoke about how the first act of violence that patriarchy commits on young boys is not to exert violence onto women, but rather to rid themselves of an emotion that exists within. And if they don't do that themselves, they can rely on the friends around them to kind of make them feel bad about having unembers. You know what I mean? And so it's so layered, the issues that young people face on the ground every single day of their lives, you know, and kids are just growing up on the streets and they being taught in the corners how to live their lives, you know. And so that's why the characters are so they're so well-rounded in that they exist as human beings, you know. And even the antagonist, you know, Mrembula, he kind of represents the idea that there's a rhetoric that says young men are morally responsible to grow up better than the environment in which they're raised. But I think for me, what I wanted to look at is that we can't really make those kinds of statements when we do nothing to contribute to those said environments, you know? We find Mrembula, who's a product of his environments, and it's easy to say that he's morally responsible to grow up better, but the odds are stacked against him, you know? And this is the life that he knows. Like, how do you, like, when you see violence every day, that becomes your norm. And I think we really need to start speaking about the township as this thing that's been a societal structure that's existed forever to really disenfranchise Black people, you know? So that's what I'm really trying to get into, man. And I'm so grateful that I have support, I have eyes now, I have people who are really like just really excited to see the third one. Hopefully we can get a pre-licensing deal.
Fingers crossed, brother. We
Yeah.
need to talk though. We've made some good contacts in Cape Town, and we think we definitely would love to.
Dope.
I'd love that. We can.
I'd love that. Thank you so much, fam. Thank you. So yeah, that's what we're exploring. You see, so even with our distribution, we're looking at we've onboarded some conversation with distribution partners, but we really want to go on the ground. I think that's a big thing, you know. I think that's really, we want to have conversations on the ground in real life, you know. And so with the work that we do with patriarchy artists, we are planning on going to different parts of the country. So I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just amazing when I look at, you know, the work that you're doing, your age, you know, and you really do give me a sense of hope, you know, for the space that we're in, because, you know, you can't get into this with a timid heart.
Yeah. You gotta fight, man. You gotta fight. Yeah, you gotta fight. But I think another thing, like what we spoke about earlier about collective ownership, I think we really need to look at that, right? That the success of you is the success of my success, you know?
Yes, sir.
And I think if we start looking at this industry in that way, I think we're gonna go a long way, because I feel like we're so isolated in this space. You know, you have a film that's showcasing in cinemas that people just don't go watch, you know, and then like, how do you expect the space to grow? You know, how do you expect, if you have a platform like this and you reach out to people and they don't come through, how do you expect this place to grow? So really, I think the worst thing that we do in this industry is that we kind of hop on the hype until somebody gets international acclaim. That's only when we give them their flowers. And I don't think we should be those kinds of people. I think we should affirm ourselves here and say, yo, bro, you're doing an amazing job. So that tomorrow when they call in America and say, hi, we'd like to get a distribution deal and help you guys out, we say, yeah, we've been behind you. It was just only a matter of time. You know what I mean? And I think this is not just for me. I don't speak as myself. You know, I speak for every young person who I know kind of says, yo, we're trying. You know, we're trying our best. And sure, nobody owes us anything, you know, and that's okay. But I think that's why for me, that's why I'm so committed to ensuring that I create a better space for people who are coming behind me, even at my young age. Because I know that I know two things more than the person behind me. And if I can teach them those two things, that person can learn better, can I guess advance faster than I did, you know? And I think if we look at the space that way, we'll grow better, man, because there's so much room. There's so much space for all of us, you know? I think, man, it's a problem. We're not competing in the Oscars. We're not competing at Cannes. We're not competing, bro. Like, you know, you go to these film festivals and you're like, I can do this, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Like you go to these film festivals, international film festivals. Like we're so great, bro.
We are.
We're so great, but we really need structures that really enable that greatness to thrive, bro. You understand? So, and if those structures don't want to help us out, we need to come together, my guy. Because the thing is, bro, we need to realize the power that exists in numbers.
Yeah.
If we can get together and be like, yo, let's come. Like we can change the game, bro.
Sorry to interject. I'll share with you a recent story that I went through. You know, I was recently in New Jersey, in New York, invited to perform a one-man show in a theater. And I mean, I know that...
Shout out Eskia Pashlele.
Yes, sir. And I know that there are, you know, multiple institutions that are there to finance such a thing if you get an invite from an international theater, you know. And I went to these institutions, I knocked on the doors. They definitely were saying, look, we don't have money, we don't have time. Who are you? Call me next year, or don't call me at all. You know, those kind of responses. And I had to literally take all my savings and put it into the whole experience. But it was very much worth it, because it was until I was that side and I saw how these people know our history. You know, how the people in the West respect our work. They love how we sound and who we are. 100%. You know, and I was like, damn, if we understood
the power that we hold,
the power that we possess, you know. And I think apartheid did a big disservice to us, because we were so forced to focus so much on ourselves, you know, that most South Africans don't get to travel. So they don't get to see what it is that makes them so unique, you know. We're always on the defensive, you know. We're just like Americans, you know. And we also we tend to be arrogant without even noticing it. It's until you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, they see us as such an important part of the human the human family, you know, the global family. We wouldn't be treating ourselves like this. We'd be supporting ourselves. We'd be pushing ourselves, because we'd realize that we can make 150 Trevor Noahs like this.
100%.
He was an anomaly because he had to go one man. But if we understood, sure.
But I don't think, I think even that, like, I think there's so many Trevor Noahs, there's so many Tusos.
Yeah.
Our actors
Many.
are phenomenal.
Many.
Our actors are insane, Our writers are amazing, I just think, man, I was watching the SAFTAs and, they were doing the retrospective and really looking back. And, I think even in the flack that we do give the industry, that we've done very well in the past 30 years, but I think we, as young people with the energy that we have, we need to fight, we need to fight so that we mustn't relax, because there's so much to be done. And there's so much space for growth, I think another thing is what somebody told me is that, bro, you actually don't leave South Africa, work there, because what you can do is that you can be the guy who picks it up. A filmmaker in Switzerland told me that it's like you're in a place where when you become big, you can almost pick up that the industry, So when you come into America, you're another voice, that's another thing. So I think, and that's why even when people do go make it internationally, I really encourage them, come back and plow back into the space, plow back into the creative space, and yeah, so that's what I'm looking to do, man. But it's really exciting. I think the trajectory of what we're going to achieve as young filmmakers, the young budding filmmakers that are coming up currently, are really, 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 really amazing, So I'm excited for the stories that they're going to tell, and I'm excited for what we're going to achieve, So yeah, man, maybe we'll see a resurgence of just cinematic excellence and just artistic excellence across the board, because I think we've got the skill. I think we've got the heart also. I just think we need to have those platforms that really enable us to kind of onboard ourselves onto these places, So yeah, man, I really encourage structures to support us, support us, because that's, I think, the only way we can go abroad there and do the things that we need to do. Yeah.
And also for us as artists to support ourselves.
And support each other.
Yeah.
When last did you go to a theater piece? When last did you go to a cinema? I think that's where I saw you first. That's where I bumped into you first, That's where I met you. And I actually met you, I saw you at 101 Nights first.
Yes, that
I
performance.
remember, I met you I also saw Ilsa recently, who I spoke to about that. Like, I feel like that was one of the best directed theater pieces that I've ever seen. I feel like it was so amazing. And you should actually, 101 Nights, it's a basis of like almost a Shakespearean story, in the sense that like people work on adaptations of 101 Nights, which is kind of going to be my third film. You'll see. But you should also check out, you should check out the Night of Kings.
Okay.
The Night of Kings. It's a phenomenal film. It's also based on 1001 Nights.
Okay, wonderful.
It's phenomenal.
The Night of Kings. Okay, cool. We'll check it out.
A Night of Kings. I hope it's the right A Night of Kings. Yeah.
Because that one that you saw was actually transcribed by the former, was it artistic director? No, the chairperson, CEO of the Market Theatre, Mr. Ishmael Mohammed.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. So he done it like years back, and the director just found it somewhere, gave him a call, and
that's lovely. That's lovely.
So, but I mean, it's also interesting as to how we can go about in terms of transcribing some South African classical literature 100%. And put it into film,
and even shows. So if you watch The Passage, you see that it's actually a homage to Yizo Yizo.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a massive homage to Yizo Yizo. If you watch there, we do say Supatsela, the girl that walks past is a Supatsela girl. We actually shot it in Davidton, where Yizo Yizo was shot. Fantastic. So a massive love to just Tebogo Mahlatsi and the contribution that he's made to South African cinema. I think we really need to recognize those kinds of voices and the person that he was, because I think it's important that we honor the people who kind of paved the way for us. And we all know the contribution that Tebogo made for every black filmmaker in South Africa.
Definitely.
So shout out to him. Yeah.
He gave me my first break on television.
Shout out.
My first work was through him. Yeah. And I loved how quiet he was, how attentive to detail he was. He really was a creative genius.
Dope, man.
Yeah,
dope.
So rest in peace, man.
Yeah,
Much
man.
love, man.
I wish he made a feature.
Yeah.
I think everybody wishes that. And that's why we need to fight to make ours. We need to fight to tell our stories. I think, the commercial space is great, and just the commissioning space is also great. But I really also think we need to speak about owning our works and owning our IP, because I think these things, we need to have something that we can also pass down.
True.
You know what I mean? Pass down for generations, because the reality is that the guys that's why I respect Layla so much. The guys at Yellowbone own their stuff, you know, and that's insane. That's really, really great. I think it's important that we get into conversations of how do we own our IP so that we can generate money from this thing, you know. Casino still makes money. Goodfellas makes money. You know, still today, Citizen Kane, which was made in 1925. Over 100 years later, a film still makes money. You know what I mean? So we kind of need to look at that, you know, because I think the commissioning space, it exists as a capitalist model. You know, so I think we really need to get together and engage on how we can ensure that we grow this independent filmmaking space. You know, because I think that's where the real stories lie, the real hearts of the filmmakers exist, you know. So I'm really excited to see the growth of this space. One day you'll see we'll be raising money from crowdfunding. You know, that's how we'll if they don't hop on, we'll have to use whatever we can. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Well, brother Ntokozo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Oh, we're not playing a game. I know you guys play a game here.
Yeah, bro.
We don't have time.
No,
Yeah, man.
So Ntokozo, my brother, we just want to say thank you for joining us on the Film Biz Show. The Passage is a great film that we know that people should be watching, definitely. If there's in any way people can contact you, how can they get in touch?
So they can check us out at The Passage Short Film on Instagram and TikTok, and also I'm Ntokozo Mlaba on every social media platform. So that's how they can get a hold of me. But yeah, just I guess keep an eye out for just the work that we're going to do, and just I think support young artists. You know,
Yes,
I think
sir.
they're coming up, and it's a really exciting space to be in. And yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of I guess the voice that's coming up.
Yeah. Brother, thank you so much. Keep fighting the good fight. Yes, sir.
Always.
All right, man.